Welcome back. You are tuned in to Traders Nation. It's my pleasure to have Megan Hustad with us here today. She book authored How to Be Useful, a Beginner's Guide to Not Hating Work. Megan, welcome to Traders Nation. How are you today?
Thank you so much. I'm doing well. How are you?
Good, good. Hey, what do you mean cubicles aren't that exciting? I mean, aren't they? They offer protection when you're shooting
exactly.
paper clips through.
From projectiles, yes.
Yes.
From angry bosses, yes. You're absolutely right. Well, that's the thing. I don't think work is boring. But a lot of kids today, I wrote this book for people who are just coming out of college, who are, in their mid-20s, and I think have been fed some pretty useless ideas about work and kind of discouraging ideas about work. So I wrote this book, and I meant it to be fun and be very smart, but very, very real life, very pragmatic about how to get through those years where you feel like, if I'm so smart, why am I still making photocopies, And
Right. So it's a matter of mind frame, though, isn't it?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Isn't it how we make the best of it? I mean, working around here, every day's a holiday. I mean, people actually come up to me and say, do I get paid for this?
Well, I know that's what we all,
They're all laughing.
We all aspire to, right?
Yeah, you should hear them. They're all laughing at me right now. All right. So, nonetheless, but it is a mind frame.
It is a mind frame, yeah.
All right, so how do we go in and not hating work?
We go into it, and I think a lot of kids have to get past a lot of pop culture. There's a lot of, if you read TMZ, and a lot of the stuff that's aimed for young people is really kind of negative and snarly and snarky.
Yeah.
And I think it's hard to read Us Weekly and see all these people who are getting paid lots of money to do. Well, it's not really clear what they do, but they're famous and they're rich. And I think, they go to the office and like, oh, I'm just this drone here, pushing paper. And it's easy to get discouraged. But I think the way to get to the place where you enjoy your job and it's every day is a holiday, like you said, is to not to try to distract yourself with, writing your own blog or whatever, but to really get interested in what you're doing and get interested in other people.
Right.
And the more interested you are in other people and really throw yourself into it emotionally instead of trying to be distant, the more interesting projects will come your way and the better time you'll have.
Right. Now, you also write in your book about the failure army. Good way to dodge them is which way? You really got to stay away from areas or people like that, right?
Yeah. Well, I think I don't know about... Well, how old are you, Kurt?
42.
Can I ask you that? 42?
Yes,
okay.
42.
I'm 32. So, and this book is, for younger people. But my generation, not generation, but people my age are really, places a premium on being cynical and sort of ironic. And especially in college, if you have a really expensive education, or I was a history major, and so if you're a history, an English major, anything like that, you get rewarded for being really, for deconstructing everything.
Right.
Someone will show you, well, here's Martin Luther King, and isn't he great? And then you write a paper, and well, actually, he wasn't so great, and here's why. And then you get a big red A.
Right.
But that kind of thinking is not going to help you advance in your career.
All right. We need to have proper etiquette, too, in the office, don't we? I mean, there's, good etiquette, and then there's, bad etiquette. And etiquette is important in the office environment, right?
I think so. Absolutely. Absolutely. And a lot of kids are just taught to, 25-year-olds, taught to just, it's okay to just be yourself all the time.
Yeah.
Well, could be true, but if you're really shy, it's not going to work out too well for you. If you're obnoxious,
Yeah, obnoxious.
But if yourself is obnoxious, then you're not going to.
Right. It's like that Jack in the Box commercial where the guy shows up for work, and they're in that office meeting, and he's really obnoxious at the meeting, and Jack just says, let's get a severance package together. That's how it works out, doesn't it, in the end, for obnoxious people?
Yeah. Well, it's a tough economy. It's better than I do. And I don't think we do young people who are just graduating into a really tight, very competitive economy to tell them these kind of really wishy-washy things like, oh, just be yourself, or it's going to be, my mother, so sweet and so well-meaning, was just like, oh, honey, just be your own sweet self, and it'll be fine,
Megan, but that's what mothers do. That's
I know.
what they say.
I know.
That's what they do and say. All right, and let's go back to the office environment. We talked about etiquette. There is a certain political hierarchy to the office environment, isn't there?
Absolutely. Yeah, and I think kids, you need to be a little smart about that, especially I think when you're in the lowest rungs, because you're the most powerless. And if
Right.
you're not really paying attention to these dynamics, you know, most of the people, and looking back over my peers, you know, and the people that I worked in book publishing in New York, right?
Yeah.
A lot of very smart, very expensively educated, hardworking people.
Right.
But the ones that ended up not really, you know, fulfilling their potential, at least not yet career-wise, are
Right.
those who just didn't play those politics well.
See.
And it doesn't have to be that you're totally cynical and you know, conniving at all.
Were they the ones bucking the trend and said, you know what, I marched to my own drum beat? Were those the ones that kind of had a problem, or was it the suck-ups?
There were no suck-ups.
Really?
That's the weird thing.
Megan, in New York, there's no suck-ups?
Well, there weren't in my industry, and then maybe that's why the book publishing industry is having trouble right now. I don't know.
It could be not enough sucking up going up in New York.
I guess not. The people who were kind of, the ones who were just like, I'm going to wear whatever I want because I'm such a creative person, and they'll just have to appreciate my genius.
That's Google. That's Google. That's California. That's the other side of the country.
Yeah. Well, you get a little bit of that here, too.
Yeah.
But also the ones who had a little problem, like,
yeah.
being kind. I mean, this sounds really Pollyanna-ish, but the ones who were just not realizing that part of their job was to make their bosses happy.
Yeah.
And if they were a little reluctant to do that,
Right.
then they had problems. I mean, it's a no-brainer, right? But
Yeah,
it's really hard.
there's a couple things that you should do. One, make your boss money. Two,
Yes.
save your boss money. And three, make your boss happy.
Yeah.
Because a happy boss is a happy boss.
Exactly.
Is what it comes down to. All right. Now, let's see here. All right. Now, Megan, where can we find the book at? How to Be Useful. This is, by the way, this is now a prerequisite throughout the building. Everybody's got to read it now. All right.
Well, I hope so. Yeah,
Yes.
they have to read it,
Yeah.
buy copies for,
Yeah, take
everyone
it
they
in.
know who's graduated from college.
Absorb it in. Take it all in. Megan, where can we find the book?
You can find it on Amazon. It's available in your local bookstore.
Yeah.
And that should do it, right? Bookstore, Amazon?
I think so. Do you have a website?
I think so. I do have a website. Well, I've got several there. Everyone has websites. There's a howtobeuseful.com, and I have my own personal website, meganhustad.com.
Oh, meganhustad.com. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Head on out to your local bookstore today. Amazon.com is another great place. Barnes & Noble, wherever fine books are sold, right, Megan?
Exactly.
All right. Get a copy today. How to Be Useful, A Beginner's Guide to Not Hating Work. Megan, thanks for being on Traders Nation.
Thank you so much, Kurt.
Appreciate your time. You're more than welcome. All right, Megan Hustad. And get a copy today. All right, I'm going to pass this around the offices here, and maybe it can be put to good use.